Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Angela, and welcome back to Gemini Decan 2. This is the hashtag Decan Walk 2023. I'm doing following Marlena Teresa's Decan Walk, and so I just decided to do it outside because it's nice right now. It rained all morning, and then it got to almost 100 degrees, and I've been off work for 2 hours and 17 minutes, and now it looks like it's getting ready to pour down again, although it says it's not supposed to start till like 10 o'clock. It's very overcast, very cloudy, but it's perfect weather for doing a video outside because we have no sun to distract us. So here I'm going through the 36 secrets. We are in Decan, like I said. In the book, she titles this Decan Angels and Demons, 9 of Swords, Gemini 2. So and I didn't bring my wheel out here. I keep forgetting to do that. I'll do that on the next video because I don't know how much longer I have here. So we'll just forge on without my wheel. But in the will, I think it's March, in the book it says, the Decan 2 starts May 31st or June 1st and ends 9th or 10th. So it's depending on how you're doing it. I'm going to say it starts today at May 31st just because I'm getting it over with. But the card for this Decan in the minors is, drum roll please, these are the backs, the 9 of Swords. The 9 of Swords, it says, is depression, nightmares, intense anxiety, despair. And then there's upright on this card, hopelessness, severe depression, torment is the reverse. So that's even worse. And if you look here, it says it's the second Decan of Gemini. The 9 of Swords is representative of Mars in Gemini. So for Mars, we all know from the very first Decan we started in Aries, represents the Tower card. So here we are back in our Tower moment with the 9 of Swords, which these two go hand in hand to me. But on the offset of that, the Gemini is the same card it was last Decan, which is the Lovers. So here we have the 9 of Swords, the Tower, and the Lovers card. Now, and I can see why it would be called, why she would title this Angels and Demons, because here we have the Angels and the Lovers, and then we have the Demon from the Tower. Yeah. And it's funny because the very first card I stepped into and did a practice with the Tarot for Yourself book was the Tower card from my Illuminati. I could almost smell the sulfur in the card. Very weird experience. But anyway, from like there was little devils in there at the bottom and some other stuff going on. But yeah. So that's our Decan cards for the Decan 2 Gemini. And I did want to read you a couple things in here. Because the 9 of I resonate deeply with the 8, 9, and 10 of Swords, which is this, which is basically all of Gemini. It's 8. First one was 8. The second one is 9, and the next one is 10. But I resonate deeply with the 9 of Swords on many levels. One is, I've been having dreams, prophetic dreams, premonitic dreams, whatever you want to call them, since I was 12 years old. I've told the story many times. And that can be, in and of itself, terrifying, considered like nightmares. And that with this card would mean literal nightmares. I've been dreaming since I was 12 years old, almost every night. I dream all the time. I am almost 47. I have been dreaming a lot. I should actually I could probably start a whole series of books on just my dreams because I've had that many. And I think I have thought about it too before, just so even if it's not like a journal, it's like a journal in a sense of my stuff. But as I was reading through this Decan here, I kind of got a sense of the Nine of Swords in other areas too. So, and I'm like, they all resonate with me. So this one part I highlighted, it says it's all in your head. Everyone needs a coping mechanism for the Nine of Swords. And the first one we usually turn to is this: it's all in your head. Aren't you glad you've woken up? We rationalize away our discomfort and minimize our anxiety by saying it's only fear. It's not real. For some clients, it's helpful to hear this, but it's also important to remember that the anguish brought on by warlike Mars is very real, as warlike Mars, is very real in our minds. And what do we have besides our minds to perceive the world around us? So I thought that was very interesting because, of course, the Nine of Swords is about the mind. And it all seems to fit and coagulate together with what she's saying here. And it says, questions of, wait. And then there's talk of PTSD in the Nine of Swords. Just many different things that can cause issues or nightmares. Maybe you're anxious because you have bills to pay and you can't afford to pay them, what have you. It says questions of remorse. In older traditions, the Nine of Swords was not nearly so dire. It was a card of religion, of ecclesiastical ceremony, even of conscience. Perhaps what we see here is conscience run amok, regret for past actions, fear of future consequences. So I'm like, that's pretty interesting too to think about. And then it talks about the Tower card being referred to as the affair card, which I was like, And then I do like this part here. I just kind of highlighted what I liked. It says, setting aside any questions of morality for the moment, we can all agree that anyone suspended between regret and fear is bound to suffer. So this is that moment that you're trapped in your mind between regret and fear, I think. And that, to me, sums up this card perfectly. Because I've been there many, many, many times. And then it says, the Decan images are filled with similarly determined figures. Like if you... Now, this one doesn't have it, but in the traditional card, there's figures here in the bed. And that's what it talks about here. The Decan images are filled with similarly determined figures. Some are hunting with bow and arrow, and some digging with a curved implement or searching with labor. All these figures of speech recall the obsessive, inescapable cycle of thoughts that can keep one awake and in despair. And I find despair being a very apt word for the Nine of Swords as well, because it's your own anguish and your own fears come to light in that card. And then it just says, it may not be obvious, but where there's hope, where there's life, there really is hope. So as long as you're alive, there's hope for something different, a hope for change, hope for escaping out of this moment. And then the very bottom of this, I'm like, you're gotta be kidding me. Because I often thought of this as writer's block as well, because of being a writer. I've often thought of this card as being, you're all up in your head, writer's block. And she actually says it down in the bottom. It's a special note for writers. Mercury rules the sign of Gemini, meaning the writing and speech are specialties of the 8, 9, and 10 of Swords. And that, to me, sums up why I'm so intrigued with the 8, 9, and 10 of Swords. Those are like the 8 is my go-to card. Like I will look for that in a deck before I buy it. The 9 and 10 are just kind of like the followers to me. So I found that quite interesting that those 3 cards are the 3 that I'm mainly drawn to in a deck. and it's the ones for writers. If you're a writer, you undoubtedly recognize in the agonized figure of the Nine of Swords the demons of writer's block, self-criticism, and insecurity, and I see all of that. Why was it the sports writer, what was it the sports writer Red Smith said, writing is easy, you just open a vein and bleed, and I love that quote. Something similar goes for those who make their living by the spoken word, stand-up comics, for example. Working with the words is a special kind of mental torture, but we wouldn't do it if it weren't worth it on some level, right? For creative types, the Nine of Swords is a kind of badge of honor, if a rather dark and tormented one. And I thought that was amazing. I loved it. I'm like, yes, totally. I totally get it. And then it says, nowadays, though, I find the Nine of Swords is very often about writing. So she's talking about how she sees the Nine of Swords. It's more about writing these days, but back in the day, it was about something else. It says, the takeaway, when you draw the Nine of Swords, hunt for the roots of your pain that lie within yourself rather than outside. So this is very much a card about you and your mind and what's going on, what fears you have, and what you need to overcome. And it says, finally, you may find helpful these twin thoughts shared with me many years ago by my husband. I think he was paraphrasing from a Buddhist text, but I'm afraid I don't know which one. Unfortunately, I found few problems fall outside of these two categories. So here's the categories. If you can do something about it, why worry? If you can't do anything about it, why worry? And I'm like, you're so true. So true and so right. And that is the end of the information I wanted to share with you in the book. But this card hit me hard. And it's funny because the last 3 days, it seems like every time we're about to go into another Decan, the card shows up. I've seen Simon from the Hermit's Cave do a video. He talks about the Nine of Swords. I saw somebody else yesterday do a video. They talked about the Nine of Swords in a different context. And then today, it showed up again. And I'm like, okay, I have to do the video today. Because clearly today is, to me, the start of the Decan. But I totally get the writer's block thing in that. So what I wanted to do now, because there's one deck here that I'm loving here. I've been using the Wisdom of the Sacred Bee or Tarot, and for the cards because it is more Thoth based. And I did pull the cards here. These are the box. And we've got the Nine of Swords, and the keyword for it is despair again. And again, you see like half her mind is like blanked out. There's a black hole there that causes the despair. And then it's got the Mercury and Taurus, Gemini there. And then we have the Tower card and the Lovers from that deck. Gorgeous. And they've got the symbols up here. Gemini, Mars. Is it Mercury? Mercury. Whatever. There's Mars, isn't it? Mercury. Is it Mercury? I just totally forgot. Oh my gosh. It is Mars, sorry. My brain went blank. So then I wanted to pull my Keeper of the Sacred Bee and kind of compare what it looks like versus the Thoth-based version versus the RWS version of the bees. So I pulled the 3 cards here. And here we have the Nine of Swords. Stunning. They're just stunning cards regardless. All the way around. And there's no keywords on it, but it is very RWS to me. And then we have the Lovers and the Tower. And I love this Tower card. Stunning. It is getting very black right there. I was going to read these, but I don't know if I will have time now. And then I wanted to show you really quickly. I'm going to put these up in case it starts raining. I don't want my cards to get wet. This one else can show here. From one of my new faves, the Tarot of the Witch's Garden, I pulled the 9 of Swords from that. These are the backs. I didn't show you the Keeper of the Sacred Bee. I love the kitty here, and I love that there's actually things in the dark that's like, we're gonna get you. And then we have the Lovers and the Tower. This Lovers card is freaking beautiful, stunning. And then this Tower has 2 badgers, and then the moth. They all trying to catch them as they're falling. I love that because it speaks to the universe. They're being there to protect you, even in the dark times. You have this horrific tower moment, and yet the universe is there to catch you when you fall. I love that. And then, because it's my newest deck, I don't think I would have ever bought it had I not bought this deck. A lot of people were like, oh, it's replacing the Greenwich Tarot, but I bought the Greenwich Tarot because of this one, how much I fell in love with it. But I did just edge it in this emerald green, one of my newest decks. I love this one too. I'm kind of kicking myself because I'm like, I don't know why I didn't buy this sooner. But we have the 9 of Swords in that. I wanted to just kind of do a comparison to what those look like versus that one, because they are, to me, they do have very different energies. This one's much darker, I think, than, and then we have the Lovers, or the Lady and the Lord, and the Wild Hunt, which I freaking love, for the Tower. Love that. Only because I read a lot of paranormal romance. One of the paranormal series I read before that's ended long ago, they specifically talk about the Wild Hunt on a magical level. And they would do just like that across the sky, chasing rogue fairies or rogue fae. Really cool. So I love that. Stunning, stunning cards. But yeah, I love this. To me, this is a little bit darker, but not too much darker. It's a little bit more of a adult, more of an adult, where I see the Tarot of the Witch's Garden more of a teenager-y, fun energy, where this one is, it's a little bit more serious. So that, to me, they do have very different energies. And I think I had to get them in the order I got them to be able to see that. Because if I'd had the Greenwich Tarot, I probably would have never got the Tarot of the Witch's Garden, and it's one of my new favorites. I love it. I do like the Greenwich Tarot, just this one I'm still enjoying the Tarot of the Witch's Garden. That is the Decan. I'm going to try to read you something. Maybe I won't, because it looks like it's getting ready to pour down rain. So that was my Decan Walk, hashtag Decan Walk 2023 Gemini Decan 2. I really dove into it. Like I said, with the previous Decans, I literally felt the energy shift and moving before the Decan came up. When Gemini started, and it may be just because I know nothing about Gemini, like at all, not a drop, nothing. It was more of a sense of diving into the card itself, and that's the same way with this Decan also. And it may be because we're still in Gemini, but this is the first sign, and I know it's only the 3rd sign of the zodiac, but it's the first sign that I've dove into the cards themselves versus the energy of the cards or the ruling planets of the cards. Because they were very different vibes from the first two. This Gemini has been a very different vibe than the first 2 zodiac signs I was in. But I'm just really digging the fact that we're dedicating just enough days to where I'm not bored. And that's why I think I initially started this Decan Walk, because I wanted to dip my toe into astrology. I'm lazy with it. Like, for some reason, and I've said this many times, I buy a deck specifically for astrology stuff, and I'm like, yeah. After I get it, I'm like, yeah, I'm bored. It cannot hold my attention for some reason. It does not hold my attention, whereas something like a past life deck would, or mediumship stuff does. The astrology part of it just kind of, even though ever since I was a kid, I've been fascinated with astrology and how the planets align and how the moon changes and shifts with your mood also, like it can shift and change your mood also. And it's just, I've always found it fascinating. And even when I've done, like, in the newspaper back in the day, when you would look up your zodiac sign, it would always be right. And I would be like, how do they know? How is it this accurate for Virgo? And so I just found that fascinating, that I've always found it fascinating. So this is actually a way to, even though the oracle decks, I have not looked at them, that I was going to look into and dive deep into. I haven't looked at them, like, really at all. I didn't pull out the other one for the one I've been using, the sun, the Radiant Sun Oracle. I don't know why I can't get into the oracle decks. I don't know why. But I'm really having fun getting my toes wet, and maybe once this Decan walk is over, something else to be able to take, like, I can dive in more. But right now I'm just having fun learning the little bit I'm learning, and it gives you get 10 days, 10, 11 days, give or take. You get just enough time to immerse yourself into it without going deep or without getting bored. So I really, really appreciate Marlene and Teresa for doing this, because I don't think I would have ever looked at this otherwise. And I look forward to her. She usually does it. She'll probably do a video tomorrow, but if nobody else cares, I care that you have made a spread for every Decan. I love doing the spreads. Considering I'm one of those people that don't speak of spreads, that doesn't really do a whole lot of spreads, I really am appreciating her taking the time to create spreads for each Decan. And I hope she keeps it up, even if it's just for me. So yeah, if you guys like this video, give me a thumbs up. If you want to see more, please subscribe. And don't forget to hit that notification button so you're alerted to any future videos. And I may be cutting you off just in time because it's black now, like everywhere. But I'll see y'all later. Bye.